Family, let me tell you something real today. A woman without love is not just empty, she's misunderstood. Love is the fuel of her soul, the oxygen of her spirit. When that love is missing, pain shows up. But pain is not the end, it's a teacher. A woman without love goes through battles, but those battles shape her into who she was always meant to be. So today I want to teach you 6 key lessons that every woman and every man who loves a woman needs to understand. Pain is not permanent, it's a teacher. When a woman feels unloved, the pain cuts deep, but pain has a purpose. Pain doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to wake you up. It teaches you what's real, what's fake, who's for you, and who's against you. Don't run from the pain, learn from it. Self-love is the first love. See, if you don't love yourself, you'll accept anything from anybody. A woman without love often forgets to love herself, but the truth is, the greatest healing begins with self-love. When you know your worth, you stop negotiating with people who only see your weakness. Don't confuse attention with love, ladies. I have to be honest with you. A man can give you attention without giving you love. Attention fades, but love is consistent. A woman without love sometimes mistakes little moments of attention for true care. That lesson will teach you the difference between being wanted and being valued. Boundaries protect your heart. Without love, a woman can become a people pleaser, giving herself away just to be seen. But boundaries are not walls, they're doors with locks. Boundaries protect your peace, your dignity, and your future. Say no when you need to, and say it without apology. Healing is a journey, not a destination. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It's a process of unlearning lies, forgiving yourself, and rebuilding your spirit. A woman without love has to walk through this journey step by step. Some days you'll cry, some days you'll rise, but every day you move closer to your freedom. Love will return, but differently when you learn the lessons of pain. Real love shows up. Not in the form of someone completing you, but in the form of someone complementing the love you already gave yourself. A woman without love may start in brokenness, but she ends in wholeness. So hear me when I say this. A woman without love is not defeated. She is being refined, she is being rebuilt. The pain is not wasted, the lessons are not wasted, and the healing is not wasted. Because when you finally discover love, starting within yourself, you realize that the very thing that tried to break you actually made you unshakable. Would you like me to also restructure this into a ready-to-speak 20-minute motivational speech format with pauses, call, and response style and emotional build up like Tony Gaskins does live? Do you want to keep it short and direct for now, family? Let's talk about pain for a moment, because if there's one thing every woman without love will feel, it's pain. That deep ache in your chest, that weight on your shoulders, that quiet tear that falls on your pillow at night. Pain is real, and I won't stand here and tell you to ignore it, because that's not fair to your soul. Pain is the body's way of letting you know that something isn't right. Pain is the alarm clock that wakes you up when you've been sleeping on your worth. But here's what I need you to understand. Pain is not permanent. Pain doesn't come to stay, it comes to teach. It's like a classroom that none of us signed up for, but all of us are required to attend. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every betrayal, it's a lesson. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Why me? Why do I have to go through this? But the better question is, what is this pain trying to teach me? Because if you only see pain as punishment, you'll stay stuck. But if you see pain as a teacher, you'll grow stronger. Think about it. Pain will teach you who's really for you. When you're hurting, you'll quickly see who checks on you, who prays for you, who encourages you. Pain will teach you the difference between those who only wanted your presence and those who truly value your heart. Pain will teach you how to rise when everything in you wants to give up. Pain will show you that you can survive things you once thought would destroy you. See, most people try to run from pain. We numb it, we bury it, we cover it up with distractions. But the more you run from pain, the louder it gets. The more you hide it, the heavier it becomes. Healing doesn't begin by ignoring pain. It begins by facing it. And once you face it, you can learn from it. Once you learn from it, you can grow through it. Some of you went through heartbreak not because you weren't worthy, but because God needed you to see that you were loving someone who didn't know how to love you back. Some of you faced rejection because life was protecting you from a path that would have destroyed you. Some of you cried tears not because you were weak, but because you were being cleansed of everything that was never meant for you. Pain was not there to break you, it was there to build you. So when I say pain is not permanent, I mean this: it's a season. And like every season, it will pass. The key is to not lose yourself in the middle of it. Don't let pain convince you that your life is over. Don't let pain define you. Instead, let it refine you. Let it teach you. Let it make you stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the love and life that's coming next. Because pain doesn't have the last word, purpose does. Family, let me tell you something that changed my life when I finally understood it. The very first love you'll ever need is not from a man, not from friends, not even from your family. The first love you need is the love you give yourself. See, a lot of women spend years chasing after love from others while neglecting the most important relationship they'll ever have, the one with themselves. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't recognize true love if you've never practiced it on your own heart. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Tony, that sounds selfish. Isn't love about giving to others? And yes, love is about giving, but hear me clearly, you can't give what you don't have. If you don't have self-love, then what you're giving is not love, it's pieces of your brokenness. That's why so many people end up drained, empty, and resentful, because they were pouring into others while ignoring themselves. When you truly love yourself, you set the standard for how others must treat you. You stop settling for less because you know what you deserve. When you walk in self-love, you stop begging for the bare minimum because you realize you are worthy of abundance. Self-love teaches you to stop chasing people who don't care, and instead attract people who honor, respect, and value you. A woman without love sometimes makes the mistake of thinking another person can complete her. She thinks, if I could just find the right man, then I'd finally feel whole. But the truth is, if you go into a relationship incomplete, you'll end up depending on someone else to be your source. And when that person leaves or when they fail to meet your needs, you collapse. But when you love yourself first, you don't need anyone to complete you. You only need someone who can complement the love you already have. Self-love is not just about bubble baths, vacations, or spa days, even though those things are good. It's about the way you talk to yourself when no one's listening. It's about the choices you make when nobody's watching. It's about respecting your body, guarding your peace, and feeding your spirit with things that lift you up instead of tear you down. It's about saying, I am enough as I am, and actually believing it. And here's the powerful truth. The moment you start to truly love yourself, you stop tolerating what doesn't align with that love. You stop answering calls from chaos. You stop giving discounts on your time, your body, and your energy. You stop waiting for someone else to validate you because you already know your worth. So remember this, self-love is not arrogance, it's awareness. It's knowing that you were created with purpose, that your life has meaning, and that you are worthy of love that feels like peace, not pain. When you master self-love, you'll never again allow yourself to be treated as less than what you are, a masterpiece. One of the biggest lessons a woman without love has to learn is this. Attention is not the same thing as love. And I know it can feel like it is, because when someone looks your way, when they send that text, when they give you a little bit of time, your heart leaps. It feels good in the moment, it feels like love, but what you have to realize is that attention can be bought, it can be borrowed, it can be faked. Real love cannot. See, a man can give you attention and still not respect you. He can give you attention and still not have any intention of building a life with you. He can give you attention because he's bored, because he's lonely, because he wants something from you. But don't mistake that for love, because love is not occasional, it's consistent. Love doesn't disappear when something better comes along. Love shows up when it's inconvenient. Love doesn't just text good morning and vanish for the rest of the day. Love is present. Love is steady. Love invests not just in moments, but in your future. A lot of women stay stuck in cycles of brokenness because they've confused a man's attention for his love. And the danger in that is this. When you settle for attention, you accept crumbs when you deserve the whole loaf. You start believing that as long as someone checks in, as long as someone flirts, as long as someone notices you, you're loved. But that's not love, that's distraction. And the more you feed on distractions, the further you get from your destiny. You have to start asking yourself, does this person's presence bring me peace or does it bring me confusion? Because attention often brings excitement, but love brings stability. Attention will hype you up, but love will hold you down. Attention can be loud, but love is proven in silence. Anybody can call you beautiful, but love will make sure you never have to question your worth. That's why discernment is so important. You've got to be able to tell the difference between a man who's just curious and a man who's truly committed. You've got to stop letting sweet words blind you to empty actions, because love doesn't just speak, it shows up. It builds, it protects, it sacrifices. Attention says, I'm here right now. Love says, I'm here for the long run. And let me tell you this, the moment you know your value, you'll stop being impressed by attention. You'll stop falling for temporary excitement. You'll realize that love is proven in consistency, not in convenience. And once you learn that, you'll stop entertaining the ones who only come to waste your time, and you'll make room for the one who is sent to change your life. So don't confuse attention with love. Attention feeds your ego, but love feeds your soul, and your soul deserves more than moments. It deserves forever. One of the most powerful lessons a woman without love has to learn is the importance of boundaries. Because when you don't know your worth, you give too much of yourself away. You say yes when your heart is screaming no. You let people use you, walk over you, and drain you, because deep down you're hoping that if you give enough, maybe they'll finally love you. But here's the truth. Love that only comes when you sacrifice your peace is not love at all. That's control. That's manipulation. That's bondage. Boundaries are not about keeping people out. They're about protecting what's sacred inside of you. Think of it like a house. You don't let just anybody walk into your home, open your fridge, and put their feet up on your couch. Why? Because that's your space and you guard it. Your heart, your mind, your body, and your spirit deserve that same level of respect. Boundaries are the locks on the doors of your life. They don't mean you're cold. They mean you care about yourself enough to protect what matters. The reason so many women get hurt is because they confuse boundaries with being mean. You think saying no makes you selfish. You think cutting off a toxic relationship makes you heartless. But in reality, boundaries are an act of love. Love for yourself and even love for the other person. Because when you let people cross every line, you teach them to dishonor you. But when you set a standard, you teach them how to rise to the level of respect you deserve. A woman without love sometimes lowers her guard so much that she loses herself in the process of trying to keep others happy. She thinks, if I give him what he wants, he'll stay. If I forgive her again, she'll finally change. If I keep quiet, maybe they'll love me. But boundaries remind you that you are not responsible for how someone feels about your standards. If someone walks away because you set boundaries, that means they were never meant to stay. Boundaries are not walls. They don't block out real love. In fact, they attract it. Because the right person won't be intimidated by your standards. They'll respect them. The right person won't run from your boundaries. They'll honor them. When you protect your heart, you filter out the ones who only came to take, and you make space for the ones who came to give. You can't be afraid to disappoint people who are only around to benefit from your lack of boundaries. You've got to decide that your peace is more important than their approval. You've got to realize that your energy is too precious to waste on people who refuse to grow. Boundaries may cost you some company, but they will save you from destruction. At the end of the day, boundaries are not about keeping love away. They're about making sure the love you allow in is pure, respectful, and true. And once you master that, you'll never again confuse being used with being loved. Healing is one of the hardest things a woman without love will ever face, because when your heart has been broken, you want to wake up one day and just be over it. You want to snap your fingers and feel whole again, but healing doesn't work like that. Healing is not an event, it's a process. It's not a finish line you cross one day and say, I'm done. Healing is a journey that unfolds step by step, day by day, and season by season. Some days you'll feel strong, like you're finally moving forward. Other days you'll feel like the pain just hit you all over again. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you're failing. That doesn't mean you're broken forever. It simply means you're human. Healing is not about avoiding the valleys. It's about learning to keep walking even while you're in them. A lot of people try to rush their healing. They jump into new relationships, thinking a new face will cover an old wound. They drown themselves in work, thinking busyness will hide their brokenness. They pretend they're fine when inside they're bleeding. But what you bury alive doesn't die, it grows. And one day it shows up again, even stronger. That's why you can't skip the process. You've got to sit with your pain, learn from it, and allow yourself to go through every stage of healing, no matter how long it takes. Healing is not linear. It doesn't move in a straight line. You may have moments of joy, followed by nights of tears. You may forgive today, and then remember tomorrow and feel the anger rise up again. But every time you choose to forgive, every time you choose to release, every time you choose to believe in your worth, you are taking a step forward, even if it doesn't feel like it. One of the most important parts of healing is forgiving yourself, because a lot of women carry guilt and shame like heavy baggage. You blame yourself for staying too long, for ignoring the red flags, for giving too many chances. But healing means letting go of that guilt and realizing you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. Now you know better, and because you know better, you can do better. Healing also requires patience. You can't compare your journey to someone else's. Some people heal in months, others in years, but the time it takes doesn't define your strength. What matters is that you keep choosing to move forward, no matter how slow it feels. Healing is not about speed, it's about direction. And here's the beauty of the journey. Every tear, every prayer, every step is building a stronger, wiser, more powerful version of you. Healing doesn't erase the pain, but it transforms it. It takes what was meant to break you and turns it into wisdom, resilience, and testimony. You may not see it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that every step of the journey was worth it. One of the greatest truths a woman without love eventually learns is that love will return, but it won't look like it did before. It won't come in the form of someone who plays games with your heart, someone who only shows up when it's convenient, or someone who makes you question your worth. Love will return in a different form, because by the time it comes back around, you'll no longer be the same woman you once were. Pain has taught you, boundaries have reshaped you, self-love has filled you, and healing has renewed you. And now the love that enters your life has to rise to that new standard. See, love doesn't disappear forever. What disappears are the people who couldn't love you the way you deserve. What fades away are the counterfeit relationships, the temporary fillers, the distractions that kept you from your destiny. But once you've grown, once you've healed, once you've discovered your worth, real love begins to show up. And when it does, you recognize it immediately, not because of how loud it shouts, but because of how consistent it is. Love that returns after healing is steady. It doesn't have to convince you with empty promises. It proves itself with actions. It doesn't just say, "I love you." It shows you by protecting your heart, respecting your boundaries, and supporting your dreams. It doesn't drain you, it fills you. It doesn't make you question, it gives you peace. That's how you'll know the difference between the love you once thought you had and the love that's truly meant for you. But before love returns in the form of another person, it first returns inside of you. That's the biggest shift. You stop walking around empty, waiting for someone to complete you. You stop begging for scraps of affection, hoping it will feel like love. Instead, you begin to overflow with self-love, with purpose, with joy that no one can take away. And from that overflow, you attract relationships that match your growth. The love that comes after your healing is never about desperation. It's about destiny. You're no longer looking for someone to rescue you. You've already rescued yourself. You're not waiting for someone to tell you who you are. You already know. And when you stand in that kind of strength, the wrong people fall away, but the right one will recognize you instantly. Because wholeness attracts wholeness, and even if that love takes time to show up, you're not afraid of the wait anymore. Because you've discovered that being alone and at peace is far better than being with someone and feeling unloved. You've learned that love is not supposed to hurt, confuse, or diminish you. It's supposed to build, uplift, and inspire you. And that's the kind of love that will return to your life when you're ready. So yes, love will return, but differently. It won't come to complete you, it will come to complement you. It won't come to take from you, it will come to grow with you. And when it does, you'll realize that everything you went through wasn't wasted. It prepared you for the love you were always meant to have. Family, I want you to remember this. A woman without love is not a woman without worth. She is a woman in process. The pain she faces is a teacher, not a prison. The lessons she learns shape her into someone wiser, stronger, and more resilient. The boundaries she builds protect her from ever being used again. The healing she embraces reminds her that life is a journey, not a race. And the love she rediscovers, starting with herself, sets the standard for every relationship that follows. You may feel broken right now, but you are not broken beyond repair. You may feel unloved, but you are never unworthy of love. Everything you've been through is molding you, refining you, preparing you. And when you look back one day, you'll see that the pain you thought would destroy you actually became the foundation for your purpose. So don't give up on love. Just learn to recognize the real thing. Don't lose faith in yourself. Stand in your worth. Don't rush the journey. Trust the process. Because when the right love comes, it will meet you in your wholeness, not in your weakness. And when that day arrives, you'll realize that every tear, every scar, and every lesson was worth it. A woman without love is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of becoming the woman who finally understands her value, her power, and her destiny.